Willie's out for Willie. Woo! In all seriousness, today the Anti-Doping Tribunal has ruled on Willie Rioli tampering scandal that happened at the back end of 2019. For those that are unaware, Willie Rioli was subjected to testing for urine testing on August the 20th, which was a game against Essendon, I believe, or that was the first finals game. So it might have been like the last game of the round, and where he tampered with his urine sample quite openly in front of the people that came in to administer the urine sample, the taking of the urine sample. And he was very quite open about the fact that that's what he had done. And then on the 5th of September, so 2 weeks later, he was then done for sort of doing it again. But the announcement that came out today or yesterday as you're watching this, we didn't actually know that he had tampered with two separate samples. All we had actually known at the time was that he had tampered with his first sample and that his second sample came back positive for cannabis on game day, which under WADA rules, when you take recreational drugs on game day, that is considered to be performance enhancing. I want to go into why the length of the term was so short, because it is actually, it's a bit of a hot topic at the moment in the wider AFL world, amongst fans, amongst commentators, because you have to understand that even though there was a string of different charges against Willie Rioli, because it was all happening at the same time and he was being convicted at the same time, they could only punish him for the most extensive one of those punishments. They weren't a compounding punishment. So it wasn't like he was going to get 2 years for the tampering and then add on another 2 years for the positive testing results. It was either going to be 2 years for this or 2 years for this or 4 years for this. And whatever the maximum sentence of any of those rulings was going to be, that's how long Rioli was going to be suspended from taking further part in any competitive sports. So, the AFL Anti-Doping Tribunal has delivered its decision in relation to the anti-doping rule violations alleged against Willie Rioli of the West Coast Eagles Football Club. All relevant appeal rights have now expired and this outcome is final. Based upon the evidence presented and his admissions to the violations, the tribunal has determined that Willie breached the AFL Anti-Doping Code by the use of a prohibited method, namely urine substitution, on the 20th of August 2019, presence of carboxy THC, cannabis, in his system on 5th of September 2019, and use of a prohibited method, namely urine substitution, on the 5th of September 2019. Pursuant to the AFL Anti-Doping Code, the maximum period of ineligibility open to be imposed was 4 years. The code allows for a reduction of what would otherwise be a 4-year period of ineligibility to a period of between 2 and 4 years based on the seriousness of the violation and the player's degree of fault. The tribunal determined that, pursuant to the code, the period of ineligibility should be reduced to 24 months. This was determined by the tribunal to be a period of ineligibility which is proportionate to the seriousness of the allegations and Willie's degree of fault after taking into account all relevant circumstances, including Willie's prompt admission to the violations and the absence of any intention by Willie to cheat by gaining a performance-enhancing effect. I mean, the statement itself is pretty self-explanatory when you actually go through and have a proper read of it and actually sort of dissect what's going on here. So, in essence, in each of those charges, the Anti-Doping tribunal has come out and basically said that in each one of these cases, because they had happened in such a confined space of time, and because Willie had admitted his guilt virtually straight away, there should be no more than the 24-month period for any one of those charges towards him, which basically meant that he would have the 24-month ban. Now, what this actually means for Willie and West Coast moving forward is, as said in the statement, Willie will be able to actually return to the club and begin training again officially from the 20th of June. And then start playing games again on the 20th of August, which is going to be very interesting. That's the last round of the year. If West Coast happens to have a Thursday night game, he will not play a game for the entire season before finals if West Coast decides to play him in an AFL match. Personally, I think it's a fair outcome, I guess. I was expecting him to be gone for 4 years. Also knowing that that was a really hard hit for a player that was very ignorant of his actions at the time and in the moment. Now, some may say that he'd actually done it twice in the span of 2 weeks, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it does seem like it's a bit of, you know, there's no real ignorance on his part as to what he's doing. It's a calculated move, but I'm not sure that I would agree with that. If it was to be the case over the span of, say, months or years, I would probably agree with that sentiment. But considering it was only over the course of 2 weeks, I'm not sure where the line should be. Now, obviously, the tribunal has gone and said that they were very, very thorough with regards to the process behind this, which is why it's taken such a long time to come to a delegation. So, I mean, I just have to, I guess, put my trust in their hands and say the 24-month period is justified. Don't get me wrong, I'm a West Coast supporter and I love Willie Rioli as a player. And I love the fact that he's being able to be, to come back at the end of the year and potentially play at the end of the year. So take that with you, Will. Call me biased, whatever the case might be. But I think there's enough sense in the greater AFL community to realise that 2 years is probably the right decision in this case. But in saying that, I don't think anyone would have been surprised or against a 4-year ban. It's just 2 year was best case scenario for him, and he happened to get that, which is a great result for him. It's a great result for the club. It's a great result for not only West Coast fans, but AFL fans in general, because the guy's a gun. And, the competition will be better for him being back in the competition, considering he's not actually taking performance-enhancing drugs. He's just doing a bit of a stupid thing on game day, I guess. I wanted to bring this out as an update because I think there's a little bit of misconception with regards to everything surrounding this and everything surrounding what WIDA and ASADA do specifically. And I speak in relation directly after kind of the whole Essendon saga and what happened there. There's just a lot of misinformation and misconceptions about what these sporting codes and governing codes of sporting codes are actually about and how they run and operate and what they actually provide for the game. And any game, realistically speaking, team or individual or otherwise. Let me know in the comments down below whether you think that 2 years is fair. Is it too short of a suspension? Do you think he should have had the full 4 years for it? Or do you think that WIDA and the Anti-Doping Tribunal should just not be a part of the AFL? I mean, that is a legitimate thing that people think about with regards to the AFL and its relationship to WIDA. So let me know in the comments down below what you think about that and how you think about Willie Rioli returning to the AFL as well. That's, you excited to have him back? I sure am. Thank you very much for tuning in. I know it's been a while since I've posted anything. There are reasons for that. and I'm changing some things around on the channel to make it so that I don't have to upload all the time. Different kind of content's going to be coming. You'll see soon what I mean about that. Otherwise, I'm thinking about starting up an AFL Fantasy League. If you're interested in that or in joining that, again, let me know in the comments below. The more feedback I get on that depends on whether I actually create it and make one for everyone to participate in. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye.